So, One Love is a great, I don't know if you can see that. Oh, that's from the Somewhere Cafe, which was the cafe that we went to frequently on a daily basis when we were staying down in the Turks and Caicos at Coral Gardens. And just love the people and the friendly atmosphere of the island. The island has that, you're on island time on now, and island time is very, very slow, and everyone is in a good mood. There's not a lot of stress there, and so you're freed from all the stress and anxiety of a normal life. And when you get down there, it's quite a relaxing situation that you actually realize that all you have to do each day is to go to the beach and spend time at the beach, relax, go snorkeling, go kayaking, go windsurfing, or whatever your pleasure is. But the islands provide that atmosphere and environment in which one can hardly resist the opportunity to just relax on a daily basis. So really enjoyed our time down there, and enjoyed the people, and enjoyed having my brother and sister there, and spending time with them was fantastic. So during the last few weeks I've been reading some great books, trying to understand better life, always trying to learn a little bit more. And one of the things that has come to pass is the realization and the importance of living a life that is character-driven versus ego-driven. Now, I know I've talked about this before, but it's a great distinction in one's life. A lot of my life was ego-driven, about being a producer of events and things, and always it being about myself. And until recently, I've just begun to learn that the importance of a character-driven life, one that has virtues of patience, kindness, gentleness, love, compassion, thinking of others first, not what's in it for me, but rather how can I serve others. And so this whole paradigm shift in my life is taking place, and it's a good one, because it's never too late in life to become the person you were meant to become, and it's never too late in life to basically stop learning. I never want to stop learning. There's a great adage that says nobody can go back and start a new beginning, but anybody can start today and make a new ending. And I know I've used this before in many of my vlogs, but it's an important statement. So nobody can go back and start a new beginning. That's done with. But anybody can start today and make a new ending. And the way you make a new ending is that you change your life from an ego-driven life to a character-driven life. And you begin to understand that what's important is not what's in it for you, but how you can serve others. And these 3 or 4 core principles in your life have to take precedent, and have to become important and a priority in your life in order to change. Change is something that a lot of people think about, but always can't undertake that change or take on that challenge of change, because it is diametrically opposed to the person they are. One has to understand that they are selfish, ego-driven, and sometimes maniacal in their approach to life, and they need to change that. And so I'm embarking on this new change in my life, and this vacation that we took was a big part of that opportunity to spend some time with my wife and enjoy family and the special time that we have together. My brother, who is 63 this year, and we're not getting any younger, so it's very, very important that you don't let the years that have gone by and look forward to the years in front of you and say, we still have another 20-25 years to live, so let's make the very most of it. Last night I watched The Post. Steven Spielberg directed this masterpiece film with Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks, and it is truly an incredible movie that's more about people and feelings. And again, Spielberg brings along with John Williams, the composer, just a really subtle touch to this piece that is more about not the Pentagon Papers and the leaking of the information about the Vietnam War and how many years and how many presidencies had been involved in a conspiracy to basically let the war happen and let our boys get killed over in Vietnam. But it's more about the nuances of a person's life and the character of Katharine Graham, who is the owner of the Washington Post, played by Meryl Streep, and Ben Bradlee, who is basically played by Tom Hanks, who is the editor-in-chief of the Washington Post. And it's this inner dynamic between the two individuals that's most inspiring. And after watching the film, I watched the extras piece, which goes into the behind-the-scenes making, from John Williams composing the music for it, and how painstakingly he took every single frame and scene from this movie and composed music to fit it just perfectly. And he and Spielberg have been collaborating for 44 years. They talk about that. And this collaboration between these individuals is something that I aspire to have in my life. And it was something I moved to Hollywood in 1976, 42 years ago, to pursue. And I began to work on a feature-length film at that time called Fraternity Row, and it starred Paul Newman's son, Scott Newman. And I worked for the producer, writer, Charles Gary Allison. And got to be involved with a major motion picture when I was just 19 years old, worked at Paramount Pictures, and got firsthand experience with being around Gregory Harrison, who later went on to do Gonzo MD and a lot of films with Catalina Productions. Got to witness Scott Newman and the struggles he went through during the time when his father and Steve McQueen were the rebels in Hollywood, California, and lived somewhat a life of debauchery, which left his son Scott Newman kind of wrecked psychologically by it, and which led to his overdose at a party in Beverly Hills one night. And Scott died during the post-production of this film. And it was a sad thing to witness, and it was what changed Paul Newman's life. Anyway, long story short, my experience there in Hollywood of being involved with my first feature film and then going on to USC broadcast journalism and TV school and working on a documentary, it was something that I really wanted to do in my life and pursue. And I had something that interrupted my whole life and took me out of the loop, which I'll talk about later. And it was a devastating thing that happened in my life, but it also interrupted my pursuit of what I really wanted to do. And as I watched these, the extras piece, which is behind the scenes look at The Post with Steven Spielberg, I understand and realize that's the life that I wanted to live, was one of collaboration and working with hundreds of people on sets of movies, and really putting forth a creative talent that I thought I was given, God-given, to produce and write and be involved with movies. And it's been my lifelong dream to work on movies, and I'm continuing to pursue that by finishing a script that I started 35 years ago. And that script is called Tariff, and I registered it with the Writers Guild of America back in 1985. And it is the story of the interruption that took place in my life. And so I go into what happened to a 22-year-old guy who was at college and got offered an opportunity to do something that, in hindsight, which is 2020, was not a great idea. But I'll talk about that more later.